most welcome to the Northeast Water Talk Series 1. This is the episode number 9. So today we are going to hear two more stories, one from Assam and one from Mizoram, written by Linda, and one by Luit Goswami. So I welcome all of you to the episode number 9. So today's session is going to be chaired by Dr. Ranjita Bania. Ranjita Bania is a Fisheries Biologist and Head of Aquaculture, Wetland and Livelihood Division of JEEVA SURAKSHA, Assam. And she is from inception of Northeast Water Talks. She is one of the key member of this Water Talk series and also the process of Water Talk, ongoing Water Talk. So I welcome Ranjita Bania to share these sessions and also all the participants to listen the stories here. Most welcome, Ranjita.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you, my dear respected senior colleagues and dear friends and participants. First of all, welcome to this Northeast Water Talk series. This is number 9th episode. So I welcome you all. We have very few number of participants, but still I would like to share our background a little bit because at least one member may be new to this group. We are all familiar to each other, but still I would like to share. This Northeast Water Talk was initiated in 2019 in the month of December, involving some like-minded people, individuals and organizations who are keen to work for water issues of Northeast. Since then, COVID was there. After that, it was decided to go through this kind of water story. The water storytelling is a new concept in throughout Northeast, I believe, in case of water issues. So when the first episode started, it was like something different. We are going through some kind of revisions in ourselves also. All the members who have shared their stories since the very first episode, we are also learning so many things from our passing time. Today we have two important speakers. First one is Luit Goswami and second one is Linda Chakchwak. So first of all, I'd like to, not taking much time, I'd like to invite Luit Goswami ji to speak on a story, Kobo Chapori, a living water row. Let me introduce him to our people. Luit Goswami ji is the Director of Rural Voulunteer Crentre, which is commonly we know as the RVC, which is based in Akajan Dhemaji, Assam, and he is working with so many organizations in development sector since 1998, and our very active member of Northeast Water Talk. And I have gone through his water story. Almost all people of us heard about Kobo Chapori, but very few have visited the area. But when I have gone through the story, it's like a virtual tour to the Kobo Chapori. So I welcome Mr. Goswami to take all of us to Kobo Chapori through his story. The floor is for you, Luida, please.
Okay, bhai. Respected Ranjita ma'am, the chair of today. Respected Girinda, respected Linda Baito, Ram, Bhai, and others. Firstly, I would like to thank you all for giving this opportunity to represent my working area in Dhemaji. Actually, I have taken this Kobo Chapori area because although the story is about Kobo Chapori, but it reflects the other areas of basically of the north bank of River Brahmaputra. The areas, this is the Chapori areas, the sword areas, as well as the palm areas. So if we look into the Kobo Chapori and in this story that the human settlement starts, the Kobo Chapori is a small island in the midst of the river Brahmaputra. And if we see that since when the human settlement started, it is said that it is before the independence. And it is on the base and the main thing that people have come to the Kobo Chapori because it was a pristine island with rich forest and village, and land was very fertile, which yielded abundant winter crops and good fodder and grazing land for livestock. And thus it started. And it was, but the things suddenly changed after the 1950 great earthquake. So after the earthquake, that's because of the changes of this, all this hydrological and geomorphological features of the river Brahmaputra, the bank line erosion has the bank line erosion has increased. The changes of river courses, destruction of forest areas, block of tributaries of Brahmaputra river due to massive landslides, which afterwards called massive flooding. When we go through the study, we have taken into consideration the discussion in the community, mainly the Gaubura, Mr. Tamang, is the Gaubura of the area. And we have taken him as a focal person in the story because his family has started living, was the first base of the human settlement of that area. So aftermath of this great earthquake, there was a great changes has happened, and there was an outward migration from Kobo chapori. People from Kobo chapori started moving to other places, and from 1950s to 1965, it was the people started moving outside. Many families, but still few families are left back for one or other reason, and they have not left Kobo chapori. Then after 65, then people have again started coming back to this area because being the 1950 disaster was a natural disaster. So in course of time, in the due course of time, the Kobo chapori regained, although have not regained the previous the pristine land, but still the people, new options has come up for the people to take up new kind of livelihood opportunity like fishing, dairy, waterways, with a new avenues, as well as agriculture and livestock rearing. So these are the things that we again bring people back. From 65, there's an outward migration. It was settled in 1939 before independence. Then 1950 to 1965, there were outward migrations. Again from the early 70s, again people have started returning to that places. Before going to the other thing, I will just like to say a few things about the understanding Kobo chapori. Political and administrative identity of Kobo chapori comes under the 140 Junai Legislative Assembly, as well as it is under Sila GP of MSTD block of Dhemaji. And it is just below the confluence point of Dihang, Dibang, and Luit rivers that form the mighty Brahmaputra. The Kobo finds itself exposed to the free of recurring floods and riverbank erosion because of that reason also. Kobo chapori is the main thing is no ordinary river island. It represents a unique ecological space and a critical wildlife corridor that connects the Prabha Reserve Forest with the Doing Iring Wildlife Sanctuary in Arunachal Pradesh on the north, and the Dibru National Park in the Assam on the south. Political and administrative conflict is very big there because of because this is inhabited by many minority groups, and so there are some political disturbance offense comes in that places, as well as there is still a conflict is there whether that this part of Kobo chapori comes under Dhemaji district, and from this part is it actually comes under the old Dibrugarh district or now the new Tinsukia district. That is an administrative setup and so reaching out the people of Kobo chapori hardly reach all the benefits of the government scheme because of this political and administrative conflict. Still in all this context, the thing was going on, and from 1970s it was going on. People have regained their, people have started their agriculture, livestock, doing all things, and life was fine. But just all things have suddenly changed from it was 2000, from 2000. In the mid of August 2000, that was my first visit. I have joined the RVC that year, and my first visit was to the Kobo chapori. It was August 2000. And I have never seen such a scenario in my life because I was born up in Dibrugarh district. I have never seen flood of this kind of flood. When I reached the Kobo chapori with my colleagues, under the guidance of Rabindranath, the founder director of RVC, he told us to go there. I have seen people, women and children are under tarpaulin seats and having one cloth in their house and having the men folks busy shifting these temporary camps from one place to another place, then one place to another place, and And I have seen that people are taking water from the ponds and the rivers and all, and that the open defecation is only the source. And that's why that was the first time I have seen how the water affects the life, how the water can affect the lives in negatively. So, so that when we have gone through that, it was seen that it is said that from 1950 onwards, after the 1950s, the hydrological settings and all these things, because that was a natural calamity, it was regained. But it has been seen that after the 2000 flash flood, it was a result of human folly and advantageism. It was due to tempering. It was due to the tempering of the nature, rampant destruction of catchment forest areas in the upper reaches, sand mining and boulder extraction from the riverbed, dumping of unused construction materials, debris in the rivers, and constriction of tributaries by construction of small bridges and other things. All this contributed to this 2000 flood. That is known as the Bolia Pani. Till to today, it is said the Bolia Pani. Across Dhemaji, Lakhimpur, Majuli, all district, it is known as the Bolia Pani, and that is the starting of it. And today, if we and in this context, today, if we say that from the water point of view, and others, then if we contextualize in the disaster vulnerability of the Kobo chapori, then we see the flood now more flash than flood, erosion. Then it is storm and lightning, drowning, conflict and insurgency, earthquakes. Earthquakes means it is the 1950s reflected here, but it is we all know that the whole of the northeast is an earthquake prone zone. And why I keep it the water rose, the living water rose name? Because I have never heard or never seen that 1 year has passed in such a way that there is no disruption in the life of the people by the water. So, for example, I am saying in 2017-18, the landmass of Kobo chapori was near about 7,300 hectares, and it has 654 households. It is 17-18. Then 1920 we have 495 households. Then in 2021 this month we have only 350 plus households. Require more study and research. I have put a point there. As per government report, the total land mass loss since 2020 is 3,335 hectares, and another 388 hectares of fertile land has turned into barren because of sand deposition. In conclusion, we can say, in course of 4 years, near about 300 houses migrated from Kobo chapori to Pabha Reserve Forest. Mind it, they have migrated to Pabha Reserve Forest and other reserve forests and PRF areas of Dhemaji and Biswanath. As well as in course of 21 years, near about 450 hectares of landmass has lost. But this needs some more research and research was on it regarding the figures. And these sources are from Kuldeep Tamang, Gaobura, study by Aranyok in collaboration with Northeastern Club. There's a study also taken up by not Aranyok, but where Northeastern Club, Naboderi, he is our staff also. So I put his man. And also survey conducted by RVC during COVID-19 pandemic intervention. So in course of 4 years, 300 households migration of 300 households and near about loss of 450 hectares means just we can imagine what is the situation in Kobo chapori. And I again say that this is not only on Kobo chapori, this is in Majuli, where Girinda knows it very well. The same situation is in Majuli, same situation in Mesaki chapori, in Dhemaji, and same situation around many places across the across the north bank of all this north bank of Upper Assam. So far to my knowledge. So the other impacts and observation and sharing from the community say that now first thing is that cultivation of ahu, boro, and sali crops have become impossible because of increased flood level, flash floods, and sand deposition. So the basic staple food is disturbed due to the water. Then the people cannot go for cultivation of rabi crops because land have become either intensively sandy or marshy. the land, so the Rabi crops has also become a almost impossible for this lot of population to take it up. The wetland used to wetland that they used to grow the winter crops are supply us with abundant fishes are now filled up with sand, said Mr. Tamang. So there was abundant fishing activities were carried on, but now all this has turned into wetlands have turned into marshy lands or have been totally filled up by sand casting. And on dates of these results on dates, there are near about 550 male and 80 female, all youth, and all youth then teenagers from 300 households have migrated to other states in search of job in last 5 to 7 years. It is informed by the Gawura himself. So this is the situation. Well, so let me come down the story. So I will not like to take some time. Impacts on women. How impact on all this has impacted the women. So we can see, as by my experience from, I have seen that the rural, the women folk has since 2003-4, I think. Girinda, you can also support it that when this women SSG concept come up, the rural women could have some have some participation over and control over household and community economy because they take up some kind of farming, livestock rearing, and other kinds of activities. But this has been totally wiped out because of this water related crisis in the Kobo chapori areas, which is also visible in Majuli and other areas also. It is irony of the fate is the Kobo chapori is surrounded by waters. It is not quite, but it is not quite potable. The nearby ponds and wetlands are contaminated by the mud, sands, etc. We can call it muddy water, which are not all safe for drinking. So water everywhere, but not a single drop to drink. And the women groups led by Mr. Tamang, she said that they had to walk several kilometers to find drinking water. Even in summer, when we live amidst water, rarely do we have access to potable water. She do. Like here, I will like to tell one thing. Now, these questions come up in every our session that what is Jal Jeevan Mission is doing. Exactly, Jal Jeevan Mission is not at all doing anything at Kobo chapori at this point of time because of the sand deposition, marshy areas, and then changing of river courses and all these high flood level erosion. Jal Jeevan Mission is almost not in Kobo chapori till now. And planning is going on, as I informed by our staff, Nabodewari, from that, the Jal Jeevan Mission is not working at all at that place, at that Kobo chapori area. And the other thing is that is the concern with the women is that along with the potable water is the latrines and the means of identification. And being considering these two things, the water and because traditionally the women have to manage the household level water, and when we come for open defecations, the women's not only the health of the whole community, but also the security of the women comes into concern. So again, it is related with the water and its impact on the women. So we can conclude that it affects the women's participation and control over the household and community economy. Distress with water and distress with water based sanitation. So when the discussions there, one point has come out that says that if we have to live here, when so economy will have to regenerate accordingly to this area, and the structures that provide the water and sanitation facilities should be resilient to the water impact of water on the structures. This is reflected by the community. So just have a look at the photographs of this area. All the photographs are not from that particularly from Kobo chapori. It has some photo from the Bahir Sila areas also. There's Bahir Juna areas also. So the situation is like this, and this photo says 2020. The last year's photos. This first photo looks at the houses, the sand deposition. Let us look into the houses conditions and the sand deposition. The intensity of the sand deposition. These photos reflects the schools of the area. And Kobo chapori also the Bahir Junai Mesaki chapori. There are 3 points. There is a red. You have seen there is a red dot na in the number 4 photos. Actually, there was a school. There was a primary school that has been totally washed away. That a third wave of flood last year. So there is no school at that point of time. At this point of time, and according to the government, they said that it will take near about 3 to 4 years to come up with some structures to. So now they are thinking about amalgamating the schools, where the children will have to pass 2-3 small streams to reach the schools in the coming days. This is the connectivity. No other things works in between the villages, in between to go to the safer places, go to the marketplaces within the Kobo chapori areas. And if you want to go to the town areas, means items the Junai areas, then the only means that you can use is the engine boat, which costs you 100 rupees one way and 100 rupees another way on deck. So being the story, we have seen how it is how the human interventions in the upstream in the forest, and then construction of dams, etc., debris, etc., have made the river so disturbed to the people. But I feel that we should think about what alternative. It is just an alternative that that have come to my mind, or we are working. I know Nietzsche is also working in this kind of structures that have come to my mind. So I put it there so that we can have an idea. Yeah, first this one, so the promoting village panchayat level resource center. Yes, the NDRF, SDRF, whether whoever they can reach Kobo chapori immediately to provide help to the people. So there should be a promoting village level, ward level, panchayat level resource centers at the village, which may consist of anything. I have put some photos that were we have used in, but that does not mean these are the only concerns we can have. But to save when I said that it is a living water hose, na, so definitely it is going on. It is going on from 12,000 every year. So there need to be something like that. Second thing is I will call it KSDM, that is transfer of skills. What it is fresh flood areas. The adults cannot reach to the children immediately to make them safe. So let us catch them young through transfer of skills. Let us make them. I am not saying that we will engage them in rescue in emergency response, but at least we should train them so that they can save themselves and the others, their friends, when the adults are away from them. Yeah, that is the build back better. Every year we talks about it is being washed out. The hand pump is no more there. MSC, Missing Autonomous Council is there. Government, the PSCD department is there. But I feel the structures should be resilient, especially taking into consideration safe drinking water during flood within the village and reducing risk, especially for women. We could have an alternative. We need alternative structures. This girl, that is the structure that girl is using it. So that is a build back better concept. So despite you see this is the same day in another area of Dhemaji, in the same day in the same panchayat, this little girl has been carrying water from this raised hand pump, and she is safe. And the another girl on the same day from the same panchayat, 5 kilometers away from this village. One is Nepali Pathar, another is Medipomwa. She has been washed out. She has died when she went to fetch water. That is a tradition of our community. Not the girl child or the women will go to. When she was in the bank of the Brahmaputra to carry, all the other hand pumps had been inundated by water. And there's no inundated by or damaged by the river flood. So she went to the river side of the Brahmaputra, and sudden erosion has carried her away. Even her dead body has not been found. So I will personally also like to say that yes, we need to build back better to make the people, keep the people safe in the Kobo chapori areas with this kind of like Kobo chapori and all other areas with these kinds of structures. So this is the structures of latrine that has been that we want to promote it. Actually, I have put another is child-friendly space, that when the schools, Anganwadi centers are not working, the child-friendly space will be work. These 3 points I have put in this because at first I have not put in, then suddenly a questions come up from Sanadda that you are doing so many things, that what you have done for promoting alternative or resilient structures. Actually, this panchayat, this has come under Sila Panchayat. So in the last GPDP meeting, we have presented these things with the panchayat in the GPDP, Gaon Panchayat Development Plan 15 Finance Commission. So they are have adopted it and not accepted it. And I think in the coming days, these structures will help, will come up in the Kobo chapori areas. Response is there, says, that is true. After 2 days or 3 days, the response activities are taken up because of the water was, but the restorations kinds of things are not taken up. This is one gap. So when restoration is not taken up, then what happens? The livelihood of the peoples cannot be the livelihood of the peoples they get totally detached from the livelihood. So every time a questions come that where they are going and how they are so this in 2000 I know in 2108 families has been of Kobo chapori has been airlifted to Junai, and we are then they are resettled in an area called Cement Chapori. And at that part, Oxfam India was part of us on this, and district admins also help us, and we have resettled this 108 families. But it takes, but there is a great one thing we need to share, that these 108 families, although they have got a plot of land, small land, but livelihood generation avenues within them, within that area is not with them till date. Till date, there isn't the land. So we can't think that's generally one question that they should be resettled in another areas. But when they are resettled in another areas, hardly they are provided the livelihood opportunity. Or in these 2,108 families who have been settled in the 2000, they have started receiving PDS and other schemes from 2015. A long fight of 15 years to avail the government schemes. So so displacement and resettlement. So people, so why they does not wait for the government to resettle themselves? Because they know that if governments resettle them, they will resettle in an area which will definitely will not provide them, or when they say that we are going to put in these areas, that they say that they observe that this area does not provide that with the livelihood avenues and other government schemes. So it is so better. We need to think in the both way: safety of the people at the place, and if we want to resettle them, and if we cannot control this water crisis, water related crisis, dangers and the crisis, then we'll have to work on that area. And also, if we think about the resettlement of the people in a safe area, then we'll have to consider the livelihood and access to livelihood of the people, as well as to the other government schemes immediately. So some points for you, 1 minute it will take. The first is the promoting of early warning mechanism is required. So community is the first responder. So promoting and capacity building of cadre of responder volunteers, task forces within self of the vulnerable communities. Then the training of frontline workers, ASA supervisor, ASA workers, Anganwadi supervisor, Anganwadi worker, teachers, CRC, etc. on disaster preparedness and response with focus on nutrition, education, child protection and WAS. Promoting comprehensive school safety plan in the line of the national school safety policy in each and every school of that area, or in Kobo chapori, as well as alike areas in the another places across Assam. And prepossession of contingency stock that I have told, mainstream of DRR on development planning that I have told, then the disaster resilience critical structure like Anganwadi center, school building, health center, hand pumps should be disaster resilient. Promoting flood resilient alternative livelihood to answer migration. environmental protection, deforestation and boulder mining should have to be stopped. The Pova forest is the lifeline of safety of Kobo chapori as well as the Junai. And this Pova forest, when there is a demand for is a sanctuary, but the destruction of Pova forest is going on, rampant destruction of Pova forest is going on. And the destruction of Pova forest means that effect will be on the Kobo chapori, other chaporis in the down to Kobo chaporis in Dhemaji district, as well as to the Junai town itself. So that is one thing. And it is not a issue within the state. It is an interstate issue. If we want to plan something to address this water woes, then at least Arunachal and Assam will have to come together in these border areas, and then definitely understand the climate crisis. It is now today now it is 36 degrees centigrade on this time. So to conclude with just 2 lines, I actually feel for these peoples. Displacement is not a displacement. This flood, erosion, all induced displacement is need to work. In the same time, rehabilitation of this resettlement of these people needs to be taken care of, so that they does not go to the again reserve forest, and after 5 years or 10 years they will be affected from this reserve forest areas. And interstate cooperation is very neat. And this platform that last time also I said that this is a platform where these little stories. I have spoken about Kobo chaporis, but it is the story not of Kobo chaporis, stories of all chaporis, all the source, all the palms areas. And so thank you for giving this opportunity. And this platform, I think these stories will come up with gradually stories are coming up from across Northeast, and then they will come, then all these stories will become a big issue to influence the policy levels at the state levels as well as the central levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Luita. It's a very lively expression of the story, and we can feel how much you are connected to Kobo chapori. We can feel through your words, and I think we will not taking much time. We will go to the next speaker, storyteller. So I'd like to request now Linda Chakchak. We have heard about salmon. I think almost everyone heard about salmon for his migratory behavior. But this time we are going to have a story about some other species, typical species, which is very well known in Mizoram for its migratory behavior. So I'm requesting Linda. Before that, I would like to introduce her. Linda is basically an independent journalist based in Shillong, Meghalaya, and she is co-founder and publisher of Grassroots Options, a magazine started in 1995 to focus on people, environment, and development of Northeast. She has also worked to many newspaper and news sites across the board since 1993. She has a background of story and social anthropology, and she is also involved in so many networks and campaigns on people's rights issues. So this floor is for Linda now. So let us have a tour to the migratory behavior of a special fish of Mizoram. Linda, please.
Thank you, Ranjita. I must thank Luit for such a wonderful presentation he made.
Yes, yes.
My story, you know, I could not really go to Mizoram to go and do field work. Particular story, but I had been there in previous years many times, and for this particular story, I just looked back at those field works that I had done. And then I spoke to certain people over the phone and got their comments and spoke to them about how they see this kind of work that they're doing. The work they're doing is, it is a very random kind of a work instance, during this month, September, October, November, all of a sudden, in most of those mountain rivers, suddenly fish start to just appear as if out of from nowhere, and they start just swimming upwards towards the mountains. Even in you can imagine that as the rivulets climb, go further up into the mountains, they become smaller and smaller, and the water is also not such a big volume, but still the fish are jumping there in thousands, jumping over each other till they reach a certain point high in the mountains, and where they lay their eggs, and then they just disappear. They are said they disappear means they swim downwards again, and then go back into the river towards the plains. So the exact migratory route of these fishes, like I tried to ask so many people, but nobody could really inform me about what is the exact route, what are the species of this fish, and where do they come from. There is no real research on this yet. There's only folklore, people who are there when these fish come and who protect them from being taken away by other people, or by eaten up by wild animals. So we really there is a need for a research on this. Basically, the people who are protecting this, community people, mostly under the wings of the YMA, the Young Mizo Association, which is a community-based organization which exists as a federal structure. In every village, you will find the YMAs. Every person is a member of the YMA, and they are well organized. So when this in the Mizo language, it is known as Nafwan. That means the coming of the fish, the schools of fish. So when this happens, these YMAs in those particular where these fish come, they organize themselves into protection parties, and then they go and do duty night and day, because there are other people also who want to take those fishes and sell them. It is such a good chance. They just have to, they don't need nets or anything. They just have to shovel it up. They just have to put it into the sack and take it away. This kind of fish, I mean, this is the kind of thousands of fish that come in those rivers. So these YMA, they members of the YMA from different villages, wherever these fish come, they organize themselves into squads, into teams, and then they set up camps near these places where the fishes come, and then protect them. So this has really created a kind of awareness among people, because just before this YMA and community protection of these fishes has started maybe only about 10, 12 years back. Before that, people used to go and just take the fish as much as they want and, sell it or divided it or take it away. But after they came to be aware that if they do this to this kind of fish which are coming for breeding, then the rivers will be devoid of all fish. So about 10 years ago, the YMA decided that all these rivers have to be protected when the fish are in this breeding season, and they have to maintain that protection so that the fish will not become extinct. So from 10 years back, they have been doing this. Till today, they're doing it. In fact, now the season has started in Mizoram. It's October, and most of the rivers have already started sightings of these fish, and the people are now in those places. They are already there camping and cutting the fish. So some of the people I spoke to was for this story was Mr. Lalnun Puya, who's the president of the Wildlife and Environment Protection Society of Saitwal. Saitwal is the headquarters of Saitwal district, which is about 86 km from Aizawl, the capital of Mizoram. So this is a new formed society, newly formed. So and one of the main aims of this society is to be able to protect the rivers and the fishes, particularly at this time, during the time of Mafwan or the breeding season. So the person I spoke to was he's already part of our SOSNE group. He's from Kobo. He's also a YMA member. He's a principal of the local high secondary school over there in Kobo, and he has also participated in many of these community works to protect the fishes, the rivers, and the forests. So surprisingly, there has not been much interest, research interest in this phenomena, because I have done some kind of an internet search to find out where this happens, but I couldn't find any other place. So I feel that Mizoram is very special in the sense that its geography has made it a very special place. The mountains are quite inaccessible, and there are deep ravines, and these places where these fish come during the season to breed, they were actually inaccessible maybe about just 50 years back or so. I don't think people had been to all these very places, but because of the expansion of population and the expansion of human habitation, so all these places where these fishes go to breed, they have all been exposed now. Humans are already, they are doing their agriculture, they are doing their jhum fields near these places. So they're expanding more and more into these untouched areas. So this becomes so important that these places should be protected, because once these places go, then once the waters go because of deforestation or because people don't look after the forest, then these mountain rivulets also will become dried up, and then that means that these kind of indigenous fish species will have no place for them to breed. So that will be such a disastrous loss, not only for this place but for the whole nature as a whole, because the ecological link between the small fish and the big fish in the big ocean is like one fish needs the other to survive. Not only that, humans ourselves, we need all our all other living creatures to survive. So this also becomes an indicator of how fragile the whole system is now, because of increased human activity in all these places which actually should not be touched at all. So what we can do is that this community work, which they have come out by themselves to protect these places, these should be encouraged, they should be helped. I think somehow some link should be formed with all these organizations, and support should be given to them. Another surprising thing is that the government is totally silent on this. Sometimes some MLA or some minister on their personally they go and give some money to these community protectors for their for the upkeep while they are doing this protection duty. But otherwise, there is no support at all from the government for such an important thing. I feel this is one of the most important issues, indigenous fishes and the river systems which protect them and which need protection now. So that is my story, Ranjita. Thank you so much.
Yes, that's such a wonderful story. And the floor is open for discussion now. Means if anybody has any queries related to these two stories, so we can discuss over here. Please.
Linda, did I miss the species of the fish that you mentioned?
Pardon?
The species of the fish you
That's
mentioned.
what I'm saying. That is what I'm telling you. I really don't know what are the species of this fish. There's only the Mizo names, you know. They call them lim. And then there are small fish varieties. But I could not even find out whether these small fish will become big fish later on. All this needs to be found out by doing some research and by getting some help from some of these fish experts in that state. And you were asking about the rivers. I saw your comment there. This happens in it doesn't happen in the big rivers, but it happens in the tributaries which flow into the big rivers. The tributaries which, the small little tributaries which flow down from the mountain and joins the bigger rivers, it happens in those.
And the districts, the Mamit and all, where? Linda?
Yes.
Sorry. Fine. I mean, questions for others. I think Ravi is waiting.
Yeah, please.
As far as I know about Ram's question to Linda, those are massive fish. So that, but my question here is to everybody: if the situation is like Kobo chapori, what Luit has explained to us, in other places of Assam, like this critical situation must be existing in other part of Assam also, in other states also. But I have only one question to know: is Jal Jeevan is doing anything to this issue, water issue in these areas? This is very critical situation, and there are many such critical areas in Assam itself, in the Chor and Chapuris and all. So this is a big question mark. What Jal Jeevan Mission has any plan on this? Thank you.
Respected sir, can I come back to Guruji just to answer him?
Yes, of course.
Okay. In my presentation, I have said now that areas like this Chor and Chaporis, I am saying Kobo Chapori, that means other Chapori areas, also small areas. Actually, the JJM is not coming up with any alternative way to address the situation. Just I explained that today morning, I myself and nobody have a discussion that JJM is not existing. Recently, the JJM, the PhD department of Dhemaji has reached me. There's one person now in the PhD Dhemaji, he's Bedo Soikia. He was staff of RBC in Guruji. He's staff of RBC at Guruji's time. So he came and he asked us for a study of the JJM in Dhemaji district. Then during that situation, I told them, I have explained him all these things. Then he said that, then you put all these things in your report. They are going to pay us something for that. They want us to get involved in Dhemaji district. And then when these questions, particular questions come about Guruji, that questions I have asked to them, that I am directly, I told him that it has failed in your Sword and Saporis areas, all this is where. Then say that it should be a part of your report, because it reported to go up to the state and central level. So that is one thing that is coming up for this coming up. So far I know that the areas like Kobo chapori are not being covered under JJM, are not being alternatively thought about that what could be done under JJM to address these critical issues of water in these areas. That is from my side. Thank you.
So one advice from my side can be that if this chor and chapri has revenue villages,
Yeah.
the suffering party can go to the court straight away. This can be taken up at a very, very high level, and seriously, this is not joke. A nationwide program of JJM is coming up, activated everywhere, and not in these areas. Why not? So this can be a big program if the Northeast Water Talk can take up this issue at our level. We can fight it out. This kind of issues definitely should be highlighted. And if government is not listening, if there is revenue villages, there are voters living there, it is recognized area, why not this Jal Jeevan mission is working in these areas? So we should definitely take this up through this forum. Thank you, Luit.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji, for your advice. I think it can be taken up through our initiative, through our platform. So now, may I request some other participant?
Good evening. After a break of 2 weeks, I've joined again here. And thank you, Luigi and Lina Didi, for a wonderful presentation. I have a query, but I think it's general query. In the Northeast, we are talking of floods which are regular, Brahmaputra, all the place. But here in Sikkim, we have occasional floods which are caused by glacial lake outbursts. So now what kind of preparedness should we have in comparison to the ones that happen Northeast and the ones which we experience? But ours are not regular. It comes once in a while and is devastating. So in a sense, I was wondering how we can prepare for that kind of situation here. Of course, there is not much study being done. And there's also issue of the Department of Science and Technology. They've been trying to install some early warning system and also draining out some water from the one of the glaciers, which is called South Lonak Lake. But we are also talking in terms of if it really happens, if the barriers can't withstand the water, and if we have a situation like that, so what kind of preparedness we should have here in comparison to what you have there in Northeast? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lepchaji. Actually, this, how far I know, this Sikkim state, though State Department is working, it falls under the cold water fisheries basically, because it's a cold water area. So there, one organization is there, Directorate of Cold Water Fisheries, which is based in Bhimtal. They are working on some issues. I don't exactly know what type of activities they are doing there, but some activities are going on there. So you can find it out properly, because through the State Department at least, because they are they will definitely work with the via the State Department, State Fisheries Department. So it can be done actually.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I think something for Luit. Luit, I think your story sounds, in like one of the stories I did in Loktak. But of course, the way it's very different, but it's like an island, right? So, and now people are moving out because the land is eroded, land is getting smaller and smaller. Livelihood, the fishing activities are now difficult. Agriculture activities are difficult because of sandy, marshy, as you mentioned. I am not sure because, and then you talk about wetlands also there. So I believe that most people are fishing, they are engaged mostly in fishing activities. So So are they? No, I'm not very myself not very clear about the question that I'm going to frame. But in terms of securing livelihood there. Otherwise, you said people are moving out. 300 plus households have moved out looking for job elsewhere. Is it that something that we're looking at where to ensure that people do not move out, their livelihoods are secure, their homesteads are secure? What is the kind of future that you're looking at for Kobo chapori?
Actually, to be very honest, when people moves out, there is no other land than the reserve forest or proposed reserve forest where they resettle themselves. Government resettlement process is a long process. So I will definitely look for the regeneration of the economy activities along with the other basic minimum avenues within the Kobo chapori areas, working on alternative models, not the general models that has been taken up in like a village Akajan, and the same model has been taken up also in the Kobo chapori or Mesaki chapori or in Majuli or any other parts of Northeast India. So the alternative models like in case of JJM also, in case of MGNRE, SGS also, this alternative model is required. That is what I am saying. So that people does not move out. Because once the people, 108 families has been rehabilitated by RVC with support from district administration. But now there's people of few families have moved out to Biswanath Sariali because livelihood avenues are not provided in that areas and other peoples go to the forest areas. Then again eviction issue comes in between. So alternative model to address these critical situations, as Guruji has said, need to be taken up. I feel that the people should be, the government should be specific about the Kobo chapori is only a story of an area, but it represents a great area across Assam, Lower Assam to Upper Assam. So alternative model, alternative strategies is required so that people can live in their villages because these are the revenue villages. These are the, they also have pattas also. So definitely I will like that these people does not move out from their villages outside.
So that story, does it have some similarity with what Manoj Gogoi talked about, the Pachani camp?
Yeah,
something like that.
Similar. That is why I am saying that I have taken up Kobo chapori, your Loktak story also. Now I have taken up Kobo chapori because it will represent a large part of Assam. That's the miseries of the people because
wetland, whether there's any wetland, state wetlands authority and the activities around state wetland. I think this is an area that I'm actually working with great attention. But also I think in terms of the water stories, I think one trend that we see is that and people are having difficulty with too much of water. Their livelihoods are being threatened because there's too much of water. Of course, in the urban areas, there's no water or water is contaminated. In this case, we're having problem with too much of erosion, too much of water, land taking away. I think that's something very interesting. In fact, what Chiten was talking about this flood, maybe there's climate change related flood, but off and on, there's a great fear of water. Whether it's river, whether it's these kind of islands, I think this is something. I think one of the trends that I see from the many stories that has come out. So yeah, thank you, Luit, for this story.
I do agree with you. Definitely, alternative strategy is required. Definitely.
I have this thing to ask Luida.
Yeah, please.
Luida.
Yeah.
So how the connectivity is like? I mean, the government has mandated installation of marine engines in all the machine boats. So how is the connectivity like?
No, it has not been taken up that way till now in Kobo chapori areas. I am again saying there is some political and administrative setbacks in the Kobo chapori areas.
And the other thing is that we still don't know what's the selection criteria of installation of Jal Jeevan Mission schemes, because I have seen JJM schemes implemented in water abundant areas. So is there any selection criteria? Do we have any idea? So why should there be? I mean, why should there be a JJM installation in water abundant?
Look, it says that JJM says that water for every household. Means you are giving water to every household. That is what. So then going deeper into all these things, then a time will come that yes, you are using this much of water, and then so you will have to pay monthly this much of. Just like water is going to be again a commodity like electricity. So it is a starting of privatization of water. that I deeply feel. And after 10 years or something like that, when we will sit together and say, yes, this is what we have discussed.
So thank you, Luita. It's a very nice presentation. You have taken us from 1950s to till late with your words. And we have seen so many things. I have visited Kobo chapori twice, but this kind of experience, I have never, I didn't have this kind of experience, because it's like you are directly connected to the area, and we have visited just like a tourist for a day or two. So thank you so much for taking us to Kobo chapori and make us realize the reality of the issues people are facing there. Means you have you have covered all the issues from climate change to before, how it was there before 1950, and what is the situation now. It's a change of climate. Then again, you have covered almost all the things, like you have covered flash flood, then this flash flood, as you mentioned. When I have gone through your story, I saw this. The flash flood is because some dam was water has been released by some party of Chinese, situated in Chinese province. So that kind of problem is also there, and it may happen in near future also. So that's first thing. Then again, you have covered water, women, livelihood, and story of the area, geography, ecological importance, economy, demography, wildlife, and finally the women issues. So this story has covered almost all aspects. Our target has already been, we are reaching our target. I think Northeast Water Talk, we already have this perspective. We have to cover from minute issues to the bigger issues, and this story has covered all the issues, and we have we are going to publish it very soon. So thank you and congratulations for such a wonderful story. And now coming to the second story, The Life, Spawns and Secret but Endangered Waters of Mizoram by Linda Chakchak. Thank you, Linda, for such a wonderful story. I think this is the first story in this water talk regarding the migration of water. Isn't it, Bhai?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Linda. When I have gone through your story, this, as Guruji has said, the fish you are not able to, you have said it's a better fish locally, and locally Mizo people call it like nangmi or something, isn't it? Naglim. In Mizo, this is basically, as Guruji said, this is a mahasir species, which is we call, how far I know, this is chocolate mahasir, and the scientifically it is called Neolichocoilus hexagonolapis. This is a very very demanded, prized fish, endangered in India, and limited to some pockets of India only. And Mizoram is one among the places. So you have mentioned that the species breeds, people used to witness the arrival of the species in October, November months. Normally we know that fish breeds in April, with the first shower, April, May, June, that kind of months. But here people notice the entry of they welcome fish in the months of October, November. Like these fishes, this mahasir species, they breed twice or thrice, in a single year. So this is, I believe this will be like chocolate mahasir. So you can confirm this with the local authority also. You have documented all the things over phone only so nicely. But if we take some initiative to document it properly, then it will be very nice. And I'm very happy to see the local initiative. The fish is conserved by the local community only. So that's really a community involvement is praiseworthy. Then some government organizations are also coming up to help this initiative of the community. I have gone through the organization, Young Mizo Association. Their initiative is really good. And I congratulate them for their initiative, and wish it will be like go further in conservation. And finally, one person was in your story, one person was saying this year the fish came, but they didn't breed. They laid eggs, but they didn't breed. So this may be normally the species they need clear pebbles to breed in hilly streams. So there may be some habitat alteration for what they couldn't breed. They lay eggs, but they couldn't breed. So this kind of issues may be there. So we have to find it out together through our platform Northeast Water Talk. So thank you everyone, and thank you our speakers today, Luita and Linda. And special thank to Girinda. Guruji is here. Thank you, Guruji, for sparing your time to be here. And thank you, Bhai, for giving me the opportunity to chair the session. So if you have to tell anything, please. Thank you.
Thank you again for the participants and also the speakers that's here. So this water talks going mature day by day. I realized today that lots of things comes up right now, like Shitan said, then flood and occasional flood, the issues related to flood and occasional flood is coming up right now. How JEEVA is not introducing or relating their subject, relating their structural design with the disaster management perspective is come up right now. And there is issues come up very rightly mentioned about from golden monsieur to chocolate monsieur, from Subansiri to Subansiri to Mizoram, how we all the Northeast are connected to water, linking to water is come up. So it's nicely going on. So thank you for all of your support. So maybe in coming days, 2 more water stories sessions will be there. So in these 2 more stories will be there in coming 2 Saturday. So in maybe coming to Saturday will be more interesting one. So Orubda, Sanat and Girinda is going to be Ram, is going to be present, more stories, more valuable stories. So we like to share 2-3 more persons like Chiten can Orubda can share these sessions in coming days, and hopefully we'll come up in coming 27th and discuss more interestingly. Lots of volunteering effort has been come up from Northeast Water Talk side. Lots of young personalities come up who we are going to be meeting 27th. So lots of issues are going to be discussed. So thank you again for for all of your kind support, and we are looking for your kind presence in coming days. Thank you so much.